Have you ever heard stories about jinns going to mosques? I used to hear them stories all the time. And I used to always wonder when I used to go to the mosque, right, if I'm praying next to a jinn or if I'm standing next to a jinn, especially on like the 27th night of Ramadan and special nights like that. Well, I'm going to tell you a story today. And like every single story on this channel is submitted by one of our subscribers. And this story is about a jinn that encounter that happened in a mosque. And without further ado, guys, I'm just going to get straight into it. Me, my brother, we were excited. And the reason why we were excited was that for the first time, my uncle was going to take us to an Islamic gathering. And this was 1994. And I was 10 years old and my brother was 11. My uncle was 21 at the time. And we were excited. It was in Derby and we live in London, so we knew that the journey there was going to be an adventure as well. We were expecting to see maybe 2,000-3,000 people there, and we were just so happy to go, and the fact that our uncle was going to even take us. So on the journey there, my uncle and his friend who tagged along, me and my brother all set off to get to Derby from London. About 4.5 hours later, we were there. And when we got out the car park, which had hundreds and hundreds of cars, we walked up probably about half a mile and we came to this massive place. I can only describe it as like a huge building with like some outdoor tents and whatnot. There was thousands of people there, and I mean thousands. As far as the eye can see, there was people there. So me, my uncle, all four of us, my brother and his friend, we all sat down and we were just talking, waiting for Maghrib Namaz. And then Maghrib Namaz came, we prayed, and I remember being the last person to go on sujood so I can just have a quick glance and see how many people there were, because that was the only time you can kind of understand the sheer amount of people that was there. It was beautiful. And after Maghrib Namaz, when we sat down again, my uncle's friend went, let me go see if we can find us a room. There was people there that was eating, people were sleeping, praying, reading. So many people from so many cultures and locations. It was truly something else. About 20 minutes later, my uncle's friend came back and he goes, I found us a room. And me, my brother and my uncle, we picked up our stuff and we followed him through a herd of people. We followed him all the way down to this room. And this room was just us in it. It was about 6 meters by 6 meters. It was a fairly big room. It was completely empty. It only had carpet on the floor. And there was if you can imagine, opposite the door as you go in is the window. And under the window there was a radiator. There was no curtains on the window, nothing like that. And my uncle, he decided that he's gonna stay on the left. So if you come into the room and you look to your left, about 2 meters down, he set up his bed, his makeshift bed with his duvet and pillow and stuff. Just after him was my uncle's friend, and then I was against the wall on the left hand side, and my brother was on the wall on the left hand side next to me. So you can imagine that 4 people can just take off that. So we were expecting more people to come throughout the night, so that's why we kind of aligned ourselves to one location on one side of the room. Now we went out afterwards and we prayed Isha Namaz, and around midnight that night, after reading and everything and praying and that kind of stuff, we came back to the room and thought, you know what, let's get an early night. We've had a long day today. We've had a long journey. So we'll just sit in the room and we'll chit chat and then we'll fall asleep. So I got into my little bedding. So did everybody else. And we were just talking. And then me and my brother, we kind of got quiet a little bit. We were feeling it. But my uncle and his friend, they kept yapping away. Now around 1 a.m. in the morning, we heard a knock on the door. My uncle goes, yep. And then this person goes, can I come in? And I was like, yep. So this man came in. He goes, brothers, do you mind if I stay in this room tonight? I've got nowhere else to go and I can't find space anywhere. And with the amount of space that we had in the room, it was rude to say no. So my uncle was like, yeah, no problem, sure. And this man came in, and he was white complexion, maybe Turkish or Arab. He had jet black hair, and he was dressed all in white, like a white jubba. He didn't have any sleeping bags or anything like that, so we just we thought nothing of it. My uncle even offered him, I remember, a pillow, but the man said, no, it's okay, I don't need it. He came and he sat down. He went all the way next to the window, just under the window where the radiator was. He lied down there, and he faced the window, and he had his back towards us. And he had a tasbih in his hand, which is one of them reading counters, and he was just mumbling away, uttering something very quietly, just a humble guy just doing his thing. Anyways, me and my brother, we were just tired. We weren't really talking much. We were just looking around, just listening to my uncle and his friend telling us Islamic stories. They were talking about the Dajjal. They were talking about all different kinds of aspects of Islam. And then probably around 2 a.m, my uncle and that goes, all right, let's call it a night. Let's go to sleep. So my uncle and his friend, they were just joking around. Remember, they were 21 years old. They were just joking around amongst themselves, saying, do you know what, go turn the light off. And then my uncle's friend is like, no, do you know what, you go turn the light off, man, I can't be asked. So for about 25-30 seconds, they were just laughing and joking amongst themselves. And then all of a sudden, the person that came into the room that was facing the window, he raised his hand in the air, and then he turned his hand and pointed at the door. And me and my brother, we're just looking at him. And then my uncle noticed it as well, and so did his friend. And then about 5 seconds later, all of a sudden his hand starts stretching all the way, like 5 meters across the room. It stretches, and then he goes to the light switch, and he switches it off. Immediately, we just all started screaming. I saw it, my brother saw it, his friend saw it, my uncle saw it, we all saw it. This guy's hand just stretched across the room and switched the light off. My uncle, he ran up. He was the closest to the light switch. He ran up and he turned the light on. And as and then we were just frozen, but he got up and he turned the light on, and guess what? There was no one there. The guy was gone.